Hi everyone, today I thought I'd do a bit of a colouring chat, let you get to know me a bit better, and try out the Artezas as well so you can see how they lay down. Now I have used these before, and they have been sharpened, as you can see, very sharp pencils. Yeah, the new sharpener, very sharp. Um, so that's them. Um, the first colour I'm going to lay down is pear. Now these are for the leaves. I'll try and move the pencil out of the way so you can actually see what I'm doing. Do a very, very light layer first of the pear. You might not be able to see this on camera. I'm hoping that you can, but you will see it as it builds up. Now I've been having some problems with downloads, or uploads should I say. We have BT internet connection with a home hub, and what we found is my husband and I both have a computer each. The reason for that, I know most households probably only have one. The reason for that is we actually met online. That's a long story, I might tell you that another day. And so we've always just had our computers, one each. And we're always both on the internet because we're both disabled. I don't, my husband's my carer, he's disabled as well, but me more than him, so he's my carer. He doesn't actually watch TV, although we do have a TV, he doesn't actually watch it. Because we don't like the same programs. He watches what he wants to watch on his computer, and he plays his games and things. So most of the day he's actually sat on his computer with it switched on. When I've switched mine on and the internet is fine, as soon as I upload it starts dipping out and cutting out, and then it comes back and then it goes away again. The upload eventually uploads, but even after the upload is finished, it seems to keep dipping out for some reason. And the only way we found to fix that is when he goes shopping or something like that, or to the doctors to pick up our meds, he switches his computer off, and while he's out I'll do the uploads, and then it's fine, it doesn't dip out or anything then, which is really, really strange. It should be able to handle two computers and uploads as well, but it doesn't, so there you go. But at least we found a way around this. Right, the next one I'm going to use is not the medium one, but the darkest one. Now the darkest one I will put, usually, depends on what type of leaf it is, but I'll put some dark here. Only light layers, because you can go in, you know, later on with this, with some more. Put some at the top, and I'll put a little bit at the bottom as well on these. So yeah, we're not really a conventional type of family. I also have my two sons living here as well. My older son works, so most of the day he's not here. My other son is the one that's disabled. He has something called Worcester Drought syndrome. Now most of you have probably never heard of it. It's a rare form of cerebral palsy which mainly affects the mouth and the throat. So he didn't learn to speak till he was 5. He couldn't eat certain things. If anything like a yogurt or something had some bits of fruit in, he would throw it straight back up again. He just couldn't handle it. He can talk now, and he can eat absolutely anything he wants. But he doesn't chew properly. He eats very, very fast. He doesn't chew his food properly. Anyway, in with that, it's a very complex disorder, and I think he got it because when I was in labour with him, the labour ward was very, very busy, and there was one midwife who was seeing to me and another lady at the same time. While she was out seeing to the other lady, I needed to push, And my husband at the time, not my husband now, but the husband at the time, Zach's dad, said, "Oh no, you can't push, she's not here." And I had to push, obviously, but he couldn't come out. He wasn't coming out for some reason. When she eventually got back to me half an hour later, she said, "Oh, blimey," she said, "there's a bit of skin covering his head. I need to get that out of the way." Well, as soon as she got out of the way, out he came. And he didn't cry. And I had a complication, so they were saying to me, and I was saying, "Is the baby okay?" And they said, yeah, he's fine. He's just laying there looking around." And he didn't cry. Then they took us to the wards, and he still didn't cry when he needed feeding or changing. He just woke up and laid there and looked around, which was very strange. I'd had two before, so I knew that wasn't sort of actually the normal thing to happen. And I knew there was something wrong with him. We didn't get him diagnosed. We had to, the doctors wouldn't, they did lots of tests, but they wouldn't send him to Great Ormond Street. They just said, "Oh, he's slow, he'll catch up." And I knew there was something more than that. We took him to Great Ormond Street when he was 2 years old. We had to do fundraising to do that, and we discovered that he got the Worcester-Drought syndrome. In with that is a complex disorder. In with that comes ADHD, behavioural problems, autistic spectrum. And also 1 in 10 appear to have anger issues, and he is one of the ones in 10. He does get very angry. He has really angry outbursts. He does get very depressed. He is often suicidal. Apart from our own illnesses, we have to deal with that as well. Right, am I going to move to the medium colour, which is basil? We don't have exactly a fun time of things in our house. We're not a normal family. My husband usually has headphones on his computer, so he misses all the drama unless it gets really intense, and I can't cope, and then he will step in. But he usually got his headphones on, trying to ignore it and let me deal with it. I think he's sometimes better at calming my son down than what I am. Depends how much pain I'm in and things, whether I get angry or not. So that's that. My oldest son should be moving out the end of this month into a place of his own. My youngest son with the problems, he has moved out before 3 times, and he's been thrown out of all the residential homes that he has because of his behavioural issues. Not much fun, and I hate that. I hate going over the lines, even if it's just a book that I'm not bothered about. I hate it. He's back here with us again for the 3rd time. It's hello, Lily. That's that. We do also have some very strange animals. I just don't know if you saw her then. She stuck her head in. Lily is a white moggy with blue eyes. We got her as a kitten because originally I did have a white cat years ago that got ran over when she was 2, and she was adorable, and I'd always wanted another white cat, so we got her. And I know you can't replace animals, and I know they've all got their own personalities, but she couldn't be farther from my other white cat. Oh goodness. She played as a normal kitten. She was playful, but she's quite feisty. She will hiss at you, she will bite you, she will claw you. Right, now I'm going to go over both of them with the pair. she's always been like that as a kitten, and she's never ever grown out of it. She will soon tell you when she's had enough. She's not a lap cat. She won't come and sit on your lap. But having said that, she will sit on my husband, and she will climb over me to get to him. So yeah. And quite early on from a kitten, we found out that she chews wires. Any wires, doesn't matter if they're thick or thin ones, even ones that have been plugged into the mains. How she hasn't got electrocuted by now, I do not know. She has had red marks around her mouth, so whether she's got a little bit electrocuted or a little bit burnt, I don't know, but it hasn't put her off. We've tried lots of things. I've had to put. We've lost so many keyboards and headphones and mice. I've had to have a wireless mouse, so she can't do that. My keyboard, I know you can get wireless ones of them, but mine's got a cord on it, and I like mine. So we've had to buy special stuff that wasn't cheap to go over that, so she can't chew it. She's chewed telephone wires. We've lost about 3 telephones, about 7 or 8 headphones my husband's lost. You name it, she's had it. Here she comes. Hello. So yeah, that's her. She is friendly. She won't bite and scratch just for the sake of it. But if you touch her and for longer than she's happy to be touched, that's it. She will go for you. The next cat we have, he's my baby. That's Dylan. He's the Selkirk Rex long-haired variant. Now, we got him from the breeder, not as a kitten. He had been originally sold as a kitten to some people who didn't look after him. I mean, he was not cheap. He was around, I don't know, £500 or something. So he wasn't a cheap cat. He was a pedigree cat. Make sure I'm still in shot here. Yeah, and she got him back, and he was skinny. He was matted because they'd let him outside. And he just wasn't in very good health at all. He's got very, very thick teddy bear-like fur, which mats very, very easily. They never brushed him from a kitten, so he's not used to being brushed, and he hates it. Yeah, as soon as he sees me coming with the brush, he's off. He's gone. So that's out of the question to even try to brush him at all. We do have to have him regularly taken to the vets and dematted. We get mats out, what we can, but a lot he won't let us, so that's a vet job. But he's my baby. He was very nervous when we got him, because I suppose he'd been in a home already. He didn't know who we were strange to him, and he was very nervous. He came around quite quickly, but he's an escape artist. He is an indoor cat, as is Lily, because we can't let one out and not the other. And because he used to be let out when he was a kitten, he's never forgotten that. And he will run between your legs as soon as you open the door. If he gets a chance, he will run between your legs and run outside. Luckily, he's only ever gone out of the back door, which he can't get out of the garden anyway because it's fenced. And he bombs down the garden as quick as he can, and there's no way we can catch him with, send my son out, say, go and get the cat back for us, please. Right, I'll go back in with the darkest one. But he's not an awful escape artist. But he's adorable. He's got big blue eyes, round eyes, not like normal cat eyes. He's a round, and he's just adorable. I love him to bits, and obviously we got him a really, really reduced price to what he was sold for as a kitten, and I love him to bits. Then we have a dog. She was a rescue as well. We got her from one of the rescues near us. They'd been over to Romania, and they had come back with several dogs. She was so nervous she had to go home with one of the helpers or people that work there at the home, at the rescue centre. And they took her home and they took a photo of her. And they had it on the site, and I saw her and she looked adorable. So I phoned up and said, I sent a message and said, is she still available? And they said, yeah, come and see us tomorrow. So we went and we saw her, and oh, she was a mess. She was quite matted in her fur, and she smelt absolutely awful. Like an old dog, very often they can't help it but they smell. Because she'd been on the streets for so long, and then in the Romanian rescue centre, then they don't look after them there. They're not enclosed, a lot of them. They're just cages outside, basically. And she absolutely stank. They said, I know she smells, but don't bath her straight away because she's so nervous it might freak her out. So for a couple of days we sort of put up with the smell, and she had blood coming from her ears where they'd ripped her ear tags out. And they had spayed her as well, but not very well. So that was weeping, and it wasn't didn't look like it was healing properly. And they said, well, it should heal, but if it doesn't, obviously these are the vets, you can take it here and tell them that we'll pay for it. And that's what had to happen. They looked at her and she had one little operation which they thought would do the job, and it didn't. So she had to be sort of not spayed again, but completely opened up as if they were spaying her again, and she had to be done again, which it then healed up. She took a liking to me, I think because I was the one who probably paid the most attention, and she became sort of my dog. She's I'm trying to explain what she looks like. She's creamy coloured. She's a Corgi cross Spitz. Now she is cream coloured. I'm going back to my medium colour. She is cream coloured like a Corgi, sort of creamy, gingery sort of colour, beigey colour, like a Corgi. Because she's crossed with a Corgi. She's a Corgi colour. She has a white stripe as well around her neck, and she's got, it's really unusual, she's got a Corgi body, and people think she's a Corgi because she's got the Corgi body and sort of fat stumpy body, and she's got the tiny little legs. I hate going over the lines. Tiny little legs she's got there, and she's got the head of a Spitz and the tail of a Spitz where it curls over your back. So her tail is sort of curls over her back, unlike a Corgi, and her head is sort of, I don't know, prettier than a Corgi, and longer fur. She's a lot prettier than a Corgi. Very pretty little face. The day after we brought her home, I got offered a Westie puppy, and I couldn't have two dogs, and I was like, what have we done? I could have had a puppy, oh no. But then when I thought about it, puppy, with us both being disabled, we struggle to do most things anyway, so training a puppy probably wasn't a good idea. But she gradually came round, and she became she attached herself to me, so much so that now, if my boys, or although she loves the boys, when they come downstairs or they come home from being out, she gets all excited to see them, and she knows who they are, but if they come too close to me, she'll growl at them, she'll snap at their legs. And the same with my husband. Although he sat next to me on his computer, if she thinks that he's getting too close to me, if he stands up and tries to give me a hug or a kiss or whatever before he goes out, she will snap at him as well, which he's not happy with, of course. And as much as you tell her, no, don't do that, she doesn't do anything she's told. We haven't taken her to puppy classes or training classes, perhaps we should really. She's not bothered about being walked, because obviously we can't walk, so she's not bothered about being walked. My son does walk her sometimes, and she seems to enjoy it, but she's just as happy sleeping under my chair, and, you know, jumping up my chair and having been made a fuss of. She's just as happy doing that as she is, you know, anything else. She sleeps on our bed. She jumped on the bed one day when it was thundering. She doesn't like loud bangs. So when it was thundering one day, she decided she was going to jump on the bed. And she did, and since then, every night, she jumps on the bed. And when I go to bed, I have to sort of play with her and make a fuss of her before I go to sleep. She usually stays there. Sometimes when my husband comes to bed, she jumps off and she goes underneath the bed on my side, usually, and then gets up when I get up. But yeah, so not only are the people in my house dysfunctional, the animals are as well. So we have a very dysfunctional family. Myself, I have multiple things wrong with me. I'll tell you how it started. Years ago, when Zach, my youngest one with the disability, when he was about 2, I decided to get sterilised. Hope you can see that these are blending together, and it's not very good in this book. It's better in one of the other books, but hope you can see that. So yeah, when he was about 2, I decided to get sterilised. I got 3, I didn't want any more. And when I was sterilised, something went wrong. And I went back to the gynaecologist who sterilised me, and he examined me, and he said, oh yeah, it's quite common when you're sterilised for things to happen. We'll do a hysterectomy, that'll cure it. And you don't question it. You know, they're the doctors, they should know what they're doing. And that was it. So I went home in tears thinking, oh my goodness, I've got to have this operation, and really upset. The operation came sooner than we thought. It was a cancellation. I went and had it done. And after that I was still having problems. It hadn't cured the problem. So about 6 weeks after that, I had to go to the hospital, and they tell you what they found when they examined your womb and things. And they said to me, why did you have a hysterectomy? And I said, well, because the doctor had told me to. And that was that. So they said, well, there was actually nothing wrong with your womb at all. You needn't have actually had it. Has it cured the problem? And I said, well, no, it hasn't. I'm still getting pains in my stomach. It hasn't actually cured the problem. So, yeah, that was that. Right, we'll try something else now. We'll try maybe one of the birds. Let's go for something else. Maybe, let's have a look what we got here. That says shamrock green, but it's actually blue, so we'll try that one as our lightest. Maybe jade is the darkest, and robin blue. So yeah, that was that. After I'd had the hysterectomy, as I said, it didn't cure the problem. So anyway, I went home and we are using, no, we're not using that one, we're using Shamrock Green. It didn't cure the problem. So I went home thinking, oh well, it's done now, you know, it's not cured it. They still didn't find out what was wrong with me. Anyway, I started sleeping a lot. And whenever my mum came round, which she did because she didn't live far away, I was always asleep on the settee. And she said to my then husband, she's always sleeping nowadays, you know, what's wrong with her? And he said, I don't know. He said, yeah, she's always asleep. And I went to several doctors who said it was thyroid problem and it was this and it was that. They did lots of blood tests and things. Make sure you're on screen. And that was that. Then I met my now husband, who actually lived 200 miles away from me at the time. And I moved there with my children to live with him. We went to some doctors there and they sent me to see this guy who did lots and lots of tests on me, and I had to go back and see him, and when I did, he said, I know what your problem is. He said, not your stomach problem, I can't sort that out. He said, but looking at all your tests and looking at things, you know, that it can't be ruling stuff out and that, he said, you've got ME and fibromyalgia. And I said, really? And he said, yeah, that's why you're sleeping all the while. So the hysterectomy started off the ME and fibromyalgia. That was bad enough. Then I started having really, really bad pains in different places at different times in my body. And by then I'd moved back to here with my husband, and we went to see a doctor at the hospital, and he did tests and things and ruled things out, same as the others. He said, yeah, I agree, you've got ME and fibromyalgia. And right, I'll go to my darkest one now, which is jade. He said, but you have psoriatic arthritis. And I said, well, I've never heard of that, what's that? And he said, well, it's a type of arthritis. And I said, well, I didn't realise there was that many different types of arthritis. Oh yeah, there's like loads and loads of different types. And the funny part is I don't have psoriasis. And he said, well, you can have psoriatic arthritis without having psoriasis. And I said, really? And he said, yep. So he gave me pills for the pain and things. Well, this went on for several years. I went to see him for. And things got worse and worse, and he upped the medication. And he put me on something called methotrexate. I started on the tablets, and then he upped the dose of them. Then he put me on the injection because he said it would work better, but that didn't agree with me. So I went back to the tablets. And now when my husband picks up my medications, I have morphine patches, I have, a carrier bag literally full, and that's a month's worth of medication. That's painkillers and just things to try and calm the arthritis down. I have also got osteoarthritis as well. So much so that last September in 2018, I actually had a shoulder replacement, and I was in a sling for 6 weeks because my shoulder was so bad. It was bone on bone, and it was so bad. I have very, very limited movement in my left arm. I can only raise it as high as sort of my neck. I can't lift it above my head. And the surgeon said he wasn't doing the operation to get more movement back in it because he didn't think I would ever get more movement back. But the pain was so bad, especially in the winter. I would cry myself to sleep every night. The doctors would not give me any more painkillers. They didn't want me to start off on lots of morphine, but the hospital did recommend a low dose of morphine patch as well as the tablets that have got morphine in them but are not actually, plain morphine. So that's why I had it done. I haven't quite got the movement back that I had before the operation. I haven't got any more movement, but I have got slightly less. But it has only been a few months. And I've got to do the physiotherapy for that for 2 years. I think they said 1 to 2 years physio. But I mean, I'm not bothered about that sort of thing, to be honest. The main thing is I'm out of pain, and that means the world to me. Right, Robin Blue. To not lay there and cry myself to sleep every night because of the pain. It didn't matter whether I laid on that shoulder or whether I laid on the other one. I laid on my back. I slept sitting up. It didn't matter what I did. But it's lovely now because I'm artificial. I'm bionic. I have metal and plastic inside me now. And it's just great to not be in pain, to be able to lay down. I mean, I could even lay on this one quite soon after the surgery and not be in pain. The only pain I had, obviously, was the pain from the operation. It's still not healed properly. They said it would take, 1 to 2 years to heal properly. But I can lay on it and I can do, what I need to do in life. So yeah, I'm happy. So that's that. I still do sleep a lot. I go through phases where I won't sleep maybe for a few days, and then I can go for weeks where I sleep all night and I sleep all day as well. It's such a weird, just a combination of the illnesses. And then I got diabetes because obviously I put on weight, not been so mobile as I used to be, because the arthritis affects my knees, my ankles, all my joints, the hips, all of them. So I'm not as mobile as I used to be. So obviously I've put on weight as well. I'm now diabetic. I have bladder problems, which was the problem originally, which is what I had. Instead of having a hysterectomy, I should have had probably my bladder looked into and something operated with that. But you believe the doctors, they're the specialists, they should know, what they're doing, but he obviously didn't. I can't go back. There's no point in me, feeling too bad about it. I can't go back. I can't replace my womb and have more children. Not that I would now anyway. But there you go. Yeah, that's my life really. Let me go back to the dark one. So, as you can see, we don't have a easy life. There is a funny thing I will tell you. I call it my drop dead Fred syndrome. Now, if you've ever seen that film, it's quite an old film with Aid Edmondson, and he is like a ghost basically, and he's called Drop Dead Fred, and he's invisible to everybody but this little girl, and he thinks it's funny to play tricks on her mother. So he might open the fridge and chuck a load of eggs out when the mother's back is turned, and she'll hear the noise, turn round, and the little girl will be standing there, and she'll tell her off for it, obviously, and she'll say, it wasn't me, it was Drop Dead Fred, and because the mother can't see him and don't believe in ghosts or whatever, yeah, of course it was, don't be silly, it was you, how dare you open the fridge and throw all the eggs out. Now, I call it that because whether it's got anything to do with ME, fibromyalgia, arthritis, I don't know. But all of a sudden, I can get like, I don't know what you call it. My hand will just jerk and it will throw whatever I've got in my hand. So very often I'll drop pencils will fly across the room, or it'll suddenly go like that across the page. Very, very annoying. I've even poked myself in the eye with a paintbrush before. So yeah, it's very good job I wear glasses actually. So it didn't actually go in my eye, but it would have done if I hadn't have had glasses on. So yeah, quite funny. Well, I think it is. Not funny if you're colouring in one of the expensive books and it goes across your page and you can't erase it properly. That's not funny. But yeah, I'm not sure about these pencils on this paper. They worked great on the Clara Markova books, which is what pictures I did on them before. This is a Colouring Heaven magazine, which usually has great paper, but I'm not sure about the Artezas on this paper. Maybe it looked better if I... there's still lots of white patches. It might look better if I blended it with something. Don't usually use a blender. These pencils blend lovely on the Clara Markova books, but they're not blending quite so well on this paper. But they do have some lovely colours, and they are very vibrant, as you can see. So yeah, that's a bit about my dysfunctional family. Wasn't sure if I was going to be able to get this done today. My disabled son came down in a foul mood. He's the one who's going to start colouring with me. Yesterday his books and his pens and his pencils. He bought some Faber-Castell classic pencils and also some Crayola Super Tips. And some books. He likes fishing, so he's bought himself some books with koi and that on them. And so yeah, he was very happy yesterday. Well, today, for some reason, he came down in an absolute foul mood. Usually when he's like that, he goes on and on and on and on, and he doesn't go away. And usually it's about something like today. He's gay, but he's never had a boyfriend. And it was like, why haven't I got a boyfriend, Mum? When am I going to get a boyfriend? And he storms around the house and he's shouting and creating, and other people have boyfriends. Why haven't I got one? And it's like, well, Zach, it'll happen when it happens. You know, you can't rush these things. That's life. These sort of things just happen. He went to a nightclub a couple of times, and I think somebody was interested in him, and then they decided they weren't, and that sort of hit him hard. He's not used to how love works, and you get rejected in life by people. He thinks he can get a normal boyfriend, but I don't know. But anyway, so he was in a really foul mood about that. Not much I can do or say about that really, but luckily he's gone upstairs to do some more colouring, and hopefully that will calm him down, and I can get this done without disturbances. So you can sort of see how these pens are working. What was that one, the Shamrock Green? Yeah, they're not blending as well on here as they did on the Clara Markova paper, but they do go well, and they've got very, very vibrant colours. What else can I tell you? I'm not sure really what else to tell you. I don't have a very exciting life, I'm afraid. I don't go anywhere unless it's a hospital, doctor's appointment, things like that. I don't go out usually. So my husband does all the shopping, he does all the cleaning and the cooking, and everything that has to be done he does. He's disabled himself, so he finds it hard as well to do things. But yeah, so I don't have a very exciting life, don't go anywhere. Everything I buy online, because it's just so much easier to get it delivered, because there's no way I can walk around shops and things. And crowds, can't stand crowds, drive me mad. Not only because people don't see walking sticks or crutches or whatever I'm using, or if I'm just holding on to my husband's arm for support, because I fall into the road all the time when I'm out. People just don't seem to see, whether it's because I'm only small, I'm only about 4'11", so I'm tiny, and everybody just towers above me, whether they just don't see me, or whether they are just so wrapped up in their own lives, I don't know, but it drives me mad. So shopping online is brilliant. Everything gets delivered, great. So there, you can see some leaves, you can see a bird. Let's have a look. Shall we do a few little flowers? Let me see. What else colour shall we have? We can have lilac. Look at my card here. Lilac, maybe that's quite the right one. Lilac, maybe. And let's go for some really dark amethyst. I haven't sharpened these ones actually.